This is your review lesson on adding integers. You'll be adding negatives to positives, negatives to negatives. You already know how to do a positive number plus a positive number, so we won't review that. You also know how to do a positive number minus a positive number. So there's only going to be 2 reviews for this, negative plus positive and negative plus negative. If you owe me $5 from last week and you need another $3 this week, how much do you owe me now? This is an example word problem. You need to know how to read these word problems and set them up numerically. So we're going to break this down step by step. First, if you owe me $5, you would be in debt. That's a negative number. So we write down negative 5. You owe $5, negative 5. Needing another $3 means you're going to borrow more, which is even more debt, another negative number. You need to borrow $3, so we wrote negative 3. Now we need to know what we're doing with these 2 numbers. Are we adding them or subtracting them? The question says, how much do you owe me now? Which means we're combining both debts. When you combine 2 numbers, you add. The rule for adding a negative and a negative is that your answer will be negative. The sum of 2 negative numbers equals a negative number. Negative 5 plus negative 3 would equal negative 8. Adding the digits and making the answer negative is the easiest way to remember this for a negative plus a negative. You can also picture this on the number line. When you're actually plotting things on a number line, the easiest way for me is to circle that plus sign that's next to the negative. And here you can say to yourself, a positive and a negative makes a negative. That's something we've gone over in class. Subtraction is a negative. Subtraction means to go backwards. Based on this trick, I know that I'm starting at negative 5, and I'm going backwards 3, and I'm landing on negative 8. So now you owe me $8. You want to pay off your debt, but you only have $5 to pay with. Will you still owe? If so, how much? Let's set up this problem step by step. You owe me $8, so you're negative 8. You have $5. You're going to pay the $5. Even though paying usually means you're subtracting money from yourself, in this case, you are trying to work yourself out of the negatives. So you're paying off debt. That is a positive 5. You're not going into debt further. You're paying off your debt. You're coming out of it. So you're adding these numbers. You're adding what you owe to what you're paying, and that will give you what you have left. Adding a negative and a positive number is not going to give you a positive number always. It's not going to give you a negative number always. So there are 3 steps that you need to follow to get your correct answer. First, find the absolute value of the 2 integers. Second, subtract the smaller number from the bigger number. And third, take the sign of the integer with greater absolute value. I'll show you. Rule number 1. Find the absolute value of the 2 integers. Your first integer is negative 8. Your second integer is 5. Finding the absolute value of those numbers, we get 8 and 5. Remember, absolute value is always positive. Step 2 says to subtract the smaller number from the larger number. 8 minus 5 is 3. Finally, step 3. Take the sign of the integer with greater absolute value. Negative 8 has the greatest absolute value. So we take that sign. Our answer is negative. When we subtracted our integers, we got 3. So negative 8 plus 5 equals negative 3. If you need to picture it on a number line, or if you're ever asked to plot it on a number line, it looks like this. Negative 8 is marked in red. We went positive 5. Whenever you add, you go right. So we went right 5 spaces. We still landed on a negative number, negative 3. Knowing these rules will help you solve problems like the ones I showed at the beginning of the lesson.